It's so loud in here. I don't think I'll be able to.
Anywhere you want to go.
I'll remember.
John, how are you?
That's what I do.
He is, all right.
Lie down, give that.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Microphone. Ready to go? Heather, you ready to go?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh.
Last couple people find a chair.
This chair over here is not being used. If you want to.
Chair here, you can grab one more out of the.
Pull it out of the way here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Grab one like you're eating one. let him get seated and we'll get started.
We're gonna fly.
John, how are you?
Can we just send it over here?
Yeah, wait, yeah.
Thank you.
I might come see my work.
Okay, now everybody's seated, we'll begin our town council special meeting of dated April 2nd, 2021. If you could join us in the pledge of allegiance. Devin, you lead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a point of order. Can we have a
No
moment of
point of
silence?
order.
Can we have a
No
moment
point
of
of order.
silence for a police officer that was shot today and killed?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about it, please?
Pardon? It was a DC police officer.
Move your hats, take a moment, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to the town council meeting this evening. Nice to see a full house out for a change. I'm glad everybody's taking interest in the goings on of the town. We will begin our meeting by the declaration of any conflict of interest. None? Mike?
None.
Conflict of interest? None here. Thank you.
Barely hear you, Dell.
It's intended to be that way. Is that better? Can everybody else hear us, or is it just Mike? Can you hear it all, Mike?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just
Okay.
really low on the volume.
Try to talk loud. Consent agenda? Nothing there. We'll start by opening up the mayor's comments, or temporary mayor's comments at least. We're happy to announce that, in case I'm sure most of you saw, that we were able to start patching some of the potholes in town today. We should be able to get that wrapped up in the first part of the week. We've also been able to meet with the USDA and the DDW, working with Mr. Merritt, who is, I don't see in the audience tonight, in assisting the Special Service District in finishing out the water transfer lines from the Jepson Canyon to the water storage tank in Cedar Point. I think we're down to just a couple of weeks of being able to get the funding released to start that, if my information is correct. So we can get that water transferred over and relieve some of the pressures over in Cedar Point. Phase 2 of that is we are also working on gathering some more funding through grants to develop a water line that would connect the Apple Valley system to the Cedar Point system. So that all three systems are connected, relieving pressure all the way across the valley. I think that's the agenda for the week. We'll open up with public hearing. You can come forward, state your name and address, please.
There is no public hearing.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Public comment.
I'm in public comment section. We're gonna move it to the front of the meeting.
Danny Bass, 1331.
Would you mind standing in front of the, sorry, at the podium so that the
Okay.
people on TV.
Could you explain to the people
Come out, sorry.
here?
Yeah.
you go.
Could you explain to the people about the water coming from Canyon Springs, what it's gonna cost the town? You're gonna get funding, but how much are we gonna have to pay for it?
I will offer what information I have, which is not limited, but it's somewhat limited. The funding for the transfer of the pipeline at this point will have no direct impact on the residents.
So we're getting 100% funding.
That is the direction that I've been told, yes. I
And is
understand
that a grant or a?
I understand that Mr. Merritt is not here, and that is a question for Mr. Merritt, the Special Service District, but the information that's come to me, is that it is 100% funded through grants.
Anybody know? Do you know, Kevin?
I don't know.
I can find that. This is not open for you to comment, sir. Okay, the gentleman at the podium is going to speak. If you want to come forward, you're welcome to do so.
If you could find out, Dale, I'd appreciate it.
I'll have that information to you by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
Mr. Blackhawk, would you like to come up and comment?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? And we'll close the public comment section. Thank you. We will move on to discussion. We're going to, line item number 1 is interview of applicants for the position of town mayor. The current applicants are Mr. Beto, Mr. Osowski, and Mr. Beal. Michelle brought to our attention earlier in the week that there was some discrepancies in the application form. There was also a combination of a couple of people who wanted to apply for it, and there was some miscommunication, so we're going to table this item. And quiet, please. Guys, this is not a joke, okay?
Yeah, it
This is not a joke, okay? The public comment section is closed. We're going to table this item. I believe it calls Sean, we'll have to take a vote to table that. Is that correct?
Mayor, if I could say this, that really what it would be for you in your role would be to ask the council what they would like to do. It's up to the council to make that motion to table if they so choose to do so tonight. I will say that there seems to be some confusion on what the requirements are on the form. It says that certain documents are required or requested. What I'd like the council to do now is make a decision on whether those items, and Taylor can tell you what they are, if the council wants them as a mandatory, in which case I would say you change the language from requested to must accompany the application, or if you simply are allowing them to submit that, in which case you would say they may submit. But in either case, I think the language should be changed to make that clear.
Okay. Discussion begin with Paul.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The language as it states excludes 2 of the 3 applicants for tonight. If we take it as it's written.
Here's what I would say on that. It's unclear. Now, I think you could make a decision to say that it's not mandatory, but you also want to make sure that this process is open and above board, and you certainly want to avoid any appearance that some decision has been made when the law is geared towards making sure that any deliberations and discussions are taking place at a meeting like this, which you have the opportunity still to do within the 30 days. Taylor's looked at it, and you could still advertise it for 14 days. There may be some in the audience there that might be interested in applying for it. It's what the council decides to do. But I will say right now that the language is unclear. I'm not going to say that it absolutely excludes those people because I think it's unclear. It's unfortunate that the language says request.
Okay. I know there was an Autumn McGregor. Is she here tonight by chance? I don't know her. And a Jenna, I apologize for mispronouncing this Viscardo. Is she here tonight by chance? Neither of those that they wanted to apply, and I think there was yet a third. So I think with the information that was available, it was it was challenging at best. So Kevin, any discussion?
I think everybody should get a fair shake at applying.
Okay, Mike.
I agree. I think we need to table it and get any language worked out that needs to be done and allow those people a chance.
I think that the deadline then would be by what? We'd have to have the meeting by the 17th of April, is that correct?
Yeah, that would be the very last day we can do it.
Okay.
Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but because the 17th falls on a Saturday, are we afforded to move it past that point to the 19th on Monday?
That's right. Monday, the 19th would be the day then. I also would ask the council if you make a motion, if you're going to make a motion to
You muted yourself. Sean,
We lost you.
Sean, you're muted.
Okay,
Ashton.
there you go. Thank you. Okay. I would ask the council if you're going to make a motion, it sounds like you are, to extend it to the 19th, that you would also include which way you would like to go with that information. If you want to make that information that's requested, I believe it's a resume and maybe a letter or something. Taylor can tell you what it says, that you say that language, change that language to must. I'd like that in your motion, so there's a direction on what to do.
And we can determine whether or not we want to do it as a must or a may.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? We'll entertain a motion to extend, including a declaration of must or may as part of that motion.
Mayor, I think the correct motion for the person conducting the meeting, or the correct question would be, is there a motion? And it's up to the council or someone making the motion to decide what motion they would make.
Somebody blocked you off, Sean. Could you all go through that again, please?
Okay, the correct request, Mayor, as you're directing the meeting, would be, is there a motion? Not, is there a motion to do this? Because the council has that, they have that purview on whether they're going to, or they have that ability to decide what motion they want to make. Someone could make a motion that is the opposite of what you suggested. So your role would be to say, is there a motion?
Okay, is there a motion?
There is. I move that we cancel tonight's interview for applicants for a position of mayor and extend that out till Monday, April 19th, so that more applicants can apply. And in addition, to change the language on the application to must rather than may for all portions. Does that suffice, Sean?
Yeah, and it's must rather than requested.
Pardon?
The current language says requested, so it would be changed the requested to must.
Yes, change it, the language from requested to must.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a second?
I second that.
Vote beginning with Paul.
Aye.
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 Mike?
Aye.
Item is tabled until April 19th, carried with unanimous 4-0. Hey, Taylor, if you could repost the application, and I think it's 14 days, correct?
Yeah.
If you could repost that, please.
Well, we can decide how long we accept applications, so we can do a week, we can do 10 days, whatever preference the town council has.
Let's accept it through the end of next week, as long as possible, because with the confusion and the redirection of everything, we want to make sure that we keep it open as long as possibly can. So if we go up to the Friday or Thursday prior to. Okay. Okay, item number 2, discussion. It's not open for discussion.
Well, the people that
It's
are.
not open for discussion.
Hold on. Hold
Item
on,
number
wait a
2.
minute. This is
It
our
is
city
not
too.
open for
This
discussion.
is our city
I
too.
did not say it wasn't. It is not open for discussion
Well,
at this point.
It's our city, let her speak.
Listen,
Let her speak.
point of order.
Listen to me, guys. It's not open for discussion. Public comment is ended.
What a joke.
Thank you.
This is,
You're a joke.
That's a joke.
this is bullshit.
You're welcome.
This is bullshit.
Have a good night, everybody.
I think we should all get the hell out of here.
Have a great night.
It's screw us
Thanks for
time
coming,
again.
everyone. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
You're gonna get in the election. You'll lose.
The applications, yes. Well, do they need to resubmit or do we accept one still? Okay, well, we'll keep.
If there
Yeah.
is.
I know.
Just take, let it calm down.
I'll be out there. You got a key?
Thanks for
Someone shut the
coming.
door, please.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Item number 2, discussion of possible action on appointment of town mayor will be this table discussion. Item number 3, discussion of possible action on appointing Taylor Pledger as a town clerk and recorder for the town of Apple Valley. Some may not be aware that Michelle, town recorder, has resigned from town. She is adamantly in charge about being a wonderful mother instead of being a full-time employee. So we're going to miss her terribly, and we're quite excited at the same time to have Taylor fill in. Is up for discussion, Mike, or sorry, Paul?
No, I think she has the capability and she's a good steady. I talked to her this afternoon. There's things that she needs to learn, but she knows a lot more than I do so far, so. That's not saying much, but no, I agree. I think that she should.
Kevin?
I'm good with it.
Michael?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I will take a second to say that in the last few weeks that where I've been working with Marty and filling in for Marty, Mr. Lisby, I've had the opportunity to work with Taylor and I have to say she's a pretty dynamite little gal, if I can still word use gal in this society, but she's been great to work with, and I'm very excited to have her as our town clerk. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we appoint as town reporter, Taylor Pledger, as of now.
We'll have a second.
I'll second that.
Vote beginning with Paul.
Aye.
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 Congratulations, welcome. We appreciate your service and your hard work. Carries 4-0. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on resolution 2021-13, amending the legal description for District 2 of 3 of Jefferson Canyon. We did this at our last meeting. We had to make a correction. For the public who doesn't understand what this is going on, I'm going to have some questions about this. I'm going to explain this from my perspective, and this is just my perspective. When they broke up their subdivision over there into these individual districts, there has been some typos in the legal descriptions of those properties, the way it's explained to me. If it's explained to me incorrectly and I'm interpreting it correctly, and I apologize. But I can tell you that on our property downtown, we've run into the same problem, and I want to explain why it becomes a continual problem, because everybody's asking me, why can't an engineer get it right? Mr. Arlington Spilsbury, who laid out much of southern Utah, laid it out with the old rod and chain system. And I know that on our property down in the valley, we have a rock about this big around that is a federally protected monument. It was the rock that he used to set a quarter section. And in the top of the rock, it is carved an X for the 4 directional northeast, south, and west. So every time an engineer goes out and sets a GPS in the middle of this X that is probably about as wide as a half of a pencil, he can be off this much. So the time you start down that line and get a half a mile away, that degree of error continues to grow. So it causes a challenge in southern Utah. That's the explanation I've been given. I know that that's what we've had down there. So I've fielded several calls this week wanting to know why this keeps happening. And I can tell you that we've sent 2 surveyors out to our location, and they've both come up with conflicting locations. And this is primarily what this is about, and that's the best explanation I can give. So we're taking this action to correct that. So any discussion on the item? Entertain a motion? I will make a motion then that we approve the resolution 2021-13, amending the legal description for District 2 and 3 of Jefferson Canyon.
Second.
Vote beginning with Paul.
Aye.
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 Vote carries 4-0. Thank you. Item number 5, discussion of possible action on the preliminary plat for West Temple Village, applicant Travis Holmes, who's in the audience tonight. I'm going to jump into this one because I've been working with the applicant and his engineer on this particular plat. Can you throw that on the screen by chance, or is it too difficult? This is, it's okay. Mr. Holmes has made an application for really what is phase 1 of an entire subdivision of 230 homes, thereabouts. He's had two primary challenges at this stage of preliminary plat. One is that his portion of his subdivision backs up to the Little Creek Ravine here and has an overlay in a Zone A floodway in there. So some of his lots are going to have to be adjusted, relocated, or the floodplain will have to be adjusted. He's been working with and they have brought in a letter from that engineer and from FEMA, is it not?
Yes.
Yes. And where he is making adjustment of that floodplain and making alterations to include some mitigation, which will be addressed at final plat stage. So we were having trouble pushing this down, knowing he was building in a floodplain, and that was our biggest challenge. His second challenge was that he's been working on this for a while, and some of our old ordinances required 60-foot primary collector roads coming in a subdivision, where our current is 70 foot. So he's made those corrections as well. The only challenge that I have seen with this particular first phase, because it is first phase, it appears that there is a cul-de-sac at the end of this subdivision, which would exceed our ordinance of maximum distance. However, it is, bear in mind, it is phase one. In his final plat, I am working with his engineer so that can actually be an exit road and not a cul-de-sac, which is typically addressed in the plan and profile portion of the application. So based on that, I think he's eliminated all the challenges and met all of our concerns.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Although I'm coming in on the tail end of this, so forgive me, but if he hadn't designated cul-de-sac, where does that come out now?
Right now, if you look on the map and
Is that little round thing at the end of there?
see that bottom left-hand map,
Yes.
but we have an ordinance that limits the roadway to 800 feet, which he exceeds. So at final plat, which is where you bring your final profile in, and be your final construction drawings, we are going to have to require him to provide an exit road out to the 59 for the roadway.
Where would that come out?
You know where across from the cabins where that interchange is, it comes out there eventually, but it'll just be he'll not be required to do anything more than an all-weather road. We don't have any ordinance requiring him to do any more than that. This is to address
So he can go back
emergency.
to gravel there.
Yeah, this is to address emergency and fire and the fact that it exceeds our 800-foot limitation on roadways. Okay, make sense?
Yep.
Michael, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion?
Mayor, before you entertain a motion, because this is a preliminary plat, you still should state in your motion, if in fact this does violate the town ordinance, that you approve it on the condition that the final plat include that second or that outlet onto wherever it's going to go out on, if it's not on the highway, whatever it may be.
Perfect. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve resolution 2021. No, I think I'm the wrong one here, sorry.
Item 5.
Item 5.
Yeah. I move that we approve for Travis Home, as long as that resolution, the final plat includes a second outlet.
There. Now, can we clarify that second outlet needs to meet all weather road conditions?
Okay. I move that we approve the preliminary plat for West Temple Village. As long as the final plat includes the second outlet, all weather road.
We'll look at it when we're done.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Vote begin with Paul.
Aye.
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 Michael? Aye, you muted. I read his lips, so they indicated voted aye. Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you very much.
Item number 6, discussion on requirements of the special event permit for Zion Ultras. This is the race that was held approximately 6 or 8 weeks ago up on Main Street where we had the enormous, and I'm going to exaggerate and push the word enormous dust challenge from this race that came down Main Street. And then the enormous amount of bathrooms that were left behind for some period of time. And I think in our, Taylor, you've got the application. If you could read the conditions to us, please, that we required for this one-time permit, just so that we know we're clear.
Okay, so what we've come up so far, the road of Main Street between the area of Highway 59 and the race staging area must be watered down by a water truck throughout the duration of the event to eliminate any dust clouds. All public bathroom facilities must be serviced a minimum of 1 time during the duration of the race. All staging setup, booths, and bathroom facilities must be removed no later than 72 hours after the event. A fee of $500 per day will apply each day staging setup, booths, or bathrooms are left on the premises.
Okay. I think we looked at this hard. We don't currently have a provision that allows us to grant a permit for this type of activity. However, I think from what we've gathered or what we've garnered, it is the desire of the council and the community to encourage these types of events. I think it's a great thing to have for Apple Valley. What I feel challenged with is the amount of debris and destruction it brings through dusting and et cetera. So we through our permitting process, we've been able to create an avenue by which those things can be augmented and taken care of. So with that being said, any questions, discussions?
I agree. I come from a town. I worked as a police officer in Redmond, Washington. It was a city. It was 50,000 people, but we had events there all the time. And to my way of thinking, most of the towns, there were people that didn't like them, of course, because they block traffic and whatever. But for the most part, it brought some attention to the town, and I don't mind people coming here and enjoying our beautiful views and beautiful venue for our races and that kind of thing, as long as there are things that require them to hold their feet to the fire as far as getting out of town as soon as they can and leaving everything as it was. So I'm all for it.
Kevin, any comments, questions?
Nope, I'm happy with that. I've been involved in those in the past, and I think this is a good way to roll.
Michael?
You're muted.
You're still muted, partner.
Down music keeps muting it. All right, I'm good. I don't
There
have
you
any
go.
questions. We covered everything from last time too, so I'm good.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the special event permit zone for Zion Ultras as long as they comply with our rules.
Okay, I'll second that. Vote beginning with Paul.
Aye.
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 Vote carried 4-0. Reports, recommendations, and announcements. Anyone here from Water or Streets? Public comments is already passed. Prior to request for a closed session, I feel compelled to make a statement about tonight's meeting, and I'm hoping that the people on Zoom can hear us as well. I know that this is a challenge. I know that everybody's passionate about this deal, but we're trying very, very hard to do this the right way. This body and this office is not, however, going to be a whipping tool for people to come in here and bash this audience and bash this committee as it's done. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but we're going to conduct this operation with order. It's unfortunate that 30 minutes ago we had a full room, and now we only have 20% of the people who were here prior to. I wish everybody would take as much care and pride in all the activities of the town instead of just the one or two agenda items that they're here to either protest against or advocate for. These times are challenging, and these procedures are challenging. It's none of us are anywhere near as experienced as Mr. Guzman, our attorney. We rely heavily on him to help guide us through these things. We couldn't do it without him. Extremely grateful to him to help us do these things. We wish that the audience would have a little bit more patience and compassion and understanding that we're doing the very best we can. And when you disagree, public comment sections are there for you to disagree with. If you want to make appointments to come in and talk to the mayor or individual city council members to bring your grievances in, we'll donate our time to help address your issues. Just give us a chance to do that, and not in the type of rhetoric that we saw earlier tonight.
May I add something to that?
Absolutely can.
We're approaching a political season, and politics in Apple Valley has sometimes been a little bit volatile, I think, would not be an understatement. And as far as meetings are concerned, we have an agenda that we follow, and it may have seemed a little harsh to not let people talk, but the public comment section was over. And there have been times, and there was one time in particular when I witnessed a challenge basically in this very room to go out and have a fight in the back. We don't want to let it get to that point. It's very junior high, and I think that as long as we have a protocol and an agenda, that we should follow it and follow it to the letter. That's what I have to say. So
I have a comment about that. The
Yes,
agenda
excuse
shows
me,
public
excuse
comment
me.
at the end of the agenda.
and we changed that.
We changed it tonight.
And if you'll bear with us for a moment, we'll give you an opportunity to address, okay? You just hang in with us for a second, okay? Please, I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I do actually. This is not my first rodeo with this. And I will say this, these are set for a reason so that we can get through the process and take care of the business at hand. That's what it's for. My door has always been open. You can come up anytime after the meeting. If you have questions or something you didn't understand, you can approach up here and I will gladly answer anything I can if I have the knowledge to do so. So it doesn't have to be during the course of the meeting. When this is adjourned, you can come up and ask me.
And also, let me add, Marty, before he resigned, was not as strict with this holding to the agenda, because we are a small town, and it's good to have other people's opinions. But the problem is, especially when people are heated up, and it just becomes a free-for-all, and that's something that has been very ugly in the past, and I think that's something we just want to avoid.
Michael, do you have anything you want to add?
I'm good.
Okay. While public comment is closed, Sean, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mayor.
Are we able to open up a second public comment section?
Yes, you're, as the chair of the meeting, you're welcome to take comment at any point in the meeting.
Okay. Then I'd like to invite the audience to reopen public comment again and address any issues you have. You may come up. Please come forward. State your name, please. And I apologize, you have to stand in front of the camera. It feels really weird, but.
Yeah, it's all right. Jerry Zaharis, 1345 Cedar Drive, Cedar Point. I think the misconception of why some of this happens is people don't understand the fact that public comment that was opened and closed was like it was just for that first item. I think we need public comment after any particular item on the agenda is made, so that people know that, so that they're not just trying to jump in on ahead of everything else. I mean, that's the way it was tonight, is they were jumping in before you really were in the portion of public comment for them, and you open and close public comment before the people even realized that public comment was over before you hit the agenda item. That's
Fair enough.
What I
And
think
I'll take full accountability for that. My position was, as Mr. Harris, was that I was closing the comment because I felt like the room's comments were about the mayoral election tonight. And because we were postponing that to the next meeting, I was also pushing the comment section down to that. And that was, in hindsight, that was a mistake on my part. I apologize for that. Part of the reason why I felt compelled to readdress the community and reopen it up for comment. And you are absolutely right. Anyone else go forward? And they'll have that opportunity to address it at the next meeting when it comes back on the agenda. And I apologize for that.
So my name is Linda Noyce and I fairly moved into the area just recently.
I'm sorry, I could hear Linda who?
Noyce.
Noyce, okay.
And I just recently moved into the area and this is
Welcome.
actually the first town meeting that I've been to.
Welcome.
And I think part of it was the comments were in the beginning. And I know that the lady in front of me, all I heard is, I just want to ask a question. She wasn't volatile until the council just put her down, said, no, it's done. And so some of these people, including myself, I came to a meeting that there was nothing for me to even comment on, for the fact that it was done before I even knew what the meeting was all about. And that's my thing, is just that those comments should have been heard. Yes, I understand not having volatile throwing out different things, but if somebody comes up here and wants to ask a question, this is, like they said, this is their town also, and they should be able to ask that question at some point during the meeting. And when you're told you're done.
Absolutely.
I understand it. Again, I take full responsibility. That was my mistake. And again, that's why we're having this comment.
And I feel bad because this is my first time here and I got a bad taste. I went, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and for me to want to be involved in the town sort of puts me back a little bit.
There's a little bit of history that you don't want to be about.
And you're right, I don't know any of
Yeah.
that.
But here, let me explain another thing too, is I suppose that we could, Jerry suggested that we have a public comment after each item. And that might get a little cumbersome, but in the future, I think when we usually have it at the last, that way, if people are taking notes on each agenda item, they can come forward and ask questions. Maybe we may not respond to them, but they can be heard. Their opinion can go on the record, because we're on the record. Their opinion can be on the record, and we should get their info. It's not like we want to make all the decisions, but.
What I understand it, and as far as me, who doesn't know the town history and doesn't know the different things that have happened in the past, my first meeting left a bad taste.
Where are you from?
California.
Well, ma'am, please accept my apology, because it was my mistake. It was not the general mistake, it was my
There
mistake.
you go.
And a large part of that was due because the comments that were starting to come from some of this audience were directed solely at me, nobody else on this committee. It follows a week of personal attacks on my wife and myself, where our name has been,
The truth was published? Is that what you're talking
sorry?
about? The truth was published?
There's no
About
truth,
your
it's
history?
private information that was
It's public
published.
Excuse me,
information.
you're not,
And-
excuse me, Mayor, excuse me. There's one person up at the podium.
Yeah, so we'll do it. We got our turn. We'll do it.
So I apologize for that. I felt that wrath all week, and I just felt like that we would address that issue when we address the mayoral election next time. And that was a mistake on my side, and I apologize.
Well, and the only thing is that I came, again, from California, but I also worked for a very big corporation and we had meetings all the time. Nowhere have I ever seen it put down to where nobody could ask a question. You had to decide at the very end to let some of us speak, and I'm very thankful that you did, because as someone on the outside, I was appalled.
Well, we didn't tell them they couldn't speak. The public comment was open. Nobody got up to speak, so we closed the public section. When the public comment section is closed, it's closed.
I understand that, but wasn't it that we didn't know what was going to happen with the mayor thing? And again, I was just coming to hear.
Fair enough. That's a great argument. And I take your point, and
Okay,
we will not make that mistake again.
all right, thank
I will
you.
not make that mistake again.
Thank you.
Someone is next.
Very well said.
Please come up front.
Come on up.
You don't have to raise your hand.
I don't know. Okay, I'm Kathy Stoker,
Welcome.
1536 Mount Ogden, or Mount Zion Drive. I always do that. I've been trying to come and get involved. And my observation is that how do I know what number resolution 2021-13? When I come to the meetings and you comment on in that way, is there a way to know what is happening, or is there a
There's a public website. We have a website that is posted on.
Okay, I've been looking at the website.
Okay.
Is there something that is similar to, I know you guys have a book, is that correct? Of agenda, of things that you go through?
We have, same thing you have.
Well, I would like to know, how do I know what 2021-13 resolution, an action on that? As a town member, I do not know.
Looks like a
I
date.
feel like I want to know some details as to what's going on. So how do I find out about resolution 2021-13? How come you know and I don't? How can I find that out from you
Well, you're
personally?
assuming we know.
I don't see, that's the problem. What in the heck's going on?
Taylor, will you
What can we
explain
do?
to her what our website does?
Yeah, so every time we have a meeting, anything that we're going over, including resolutions, ordinances, anything like that, they are included in the packet. And that's what we give the town council members, and we post it on our website. And it's also posted on the Utah Public Noticing website. So you can find the resolution that you're talking about. You can find the whole thing written out here on what it is and what they're changing, and you can find it in the packet. And that tells you what the whole resolution is, what they're doing.
Okay, now I've been on the site.
Yes.
Specifically, where do I find this information? I see the agenda.
Yeah, so on the website, why don't I?
Now I'm on the Facebook our town. Is that what it is? I think.
Seems to me it's too complicated for me.
No, it wouldn't be Facebook.
It's not on Facebook.
I'll show
It's
you right
Apple
here.
Valley, City of Apple Valley.
If you want to look at the strain, I'll show you right now where you can find all of this stuff.
And while she's looking that up, you're welcome to contact the town with any questions, and
Okay,
you can
well,
reach
that's,
out to one of us.
all right, that's what I'm, okay, is, how
You're
does,
talking to her, she's very.
how does this work? How do I personally feel like I can be involved, I want to be involved? And so are you saying maybe I need to talk on an individual basis? Do you guys talk on an individual basis? How do you know what's going on?
So typically, let's just take Mr. Holmes, who we just talked about. You probably didn't know much about his project.
No, I did not.
So that project has gone through planning commission meetings, and it's discussed in greater detail than it is here in the planning commission. So if you attend those, you can garner a lot of information. I don't like going on websites because they frustrate me. So if you're not a web page guy like I am, then I suggest you reach out to council members or mayors and try to get some information directly and explanation of it. And I would urge you to contact one of us rather than not contact the public, who seems to have a good history of miscommunication of that information.
Well, see, that's where I'm coming from. So I want to say, who said that? Where did the information come from? That's just the kind of gal I am. And so you're saying that the Apple Valley town site.
Yes. If you want to
What
look
is
right here, this is what it looks like.
Yes.
So this is applevalleyut.gov, that's
Right.
the website.
Oh,
And then if you go over here, it says agendas and meetings right under the community. And then right here where it says agenda packet, this is the packet for all the meetings. And so you just look here, this is the meeting for today, the special meeting. And so here's today the packet that they have in the meeting.
that you guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also have.
So you know that 2021-13. So I need to do my homework before I come?
And
It's a really good
It's a
website.
good,
you
it's a good thing to do.
this is not my card, and Mr. Gould, I apologize for passing I actually have your number, so I'm gonna give her, I wrote my number on your card.
No problem.
You're welcome to
Thank
give
you.
me a call anytime, and I'm sure the council members extend the same to you. And I would love to offer any explanation of what's going on anytime you want.
Okay, so that might be A tip for
Easier.
me is that I should be talking to you individually, because when we come here, I'm just listening to you.
Mhm.
Is this your first time talking about these things, or what, how does,
No, this
what are you
process
guys
has been
doing?
going on.
It's going on all the time.
This particular
So
one.
typically, one of our council members will also attend the planning commission meeting.
Well, I've been going to that too.
Okay.
You
That's one
can't ask
form.
questions. Nobody can
And
ask
then
questions.
and then the mayor or one of the council members will typically meet with the applicant and work through, as I said earlier, I've been working with him and his engineer on this particular project. So I've probably met with them half a dozen times and to go through this process. Then I make a report, send it out to the other council members that sometimes they're already aware of it. Sometimes they reach out and talk and try to get some straight answers themselves too, get a better understanding. And so that's our form of communication, is working through the challenge.
Okay, so if, like you and I are having an exchange right now, is
I thought we was
this,
having a conversation.
is this common, or do you just come and give your comments, or, and then I gotta talk to you after, or I like this,
Not at all. You
because
can- you
things are
can
going on,
address-
it's like, I'm still not even sure what day you're doing the
The
mayor
ninth-
interviews. Is it
19th.
April the
April
19th?
19th,
And that is what day?
Monday.
Monday.
And
That
why
is-
is it not during the regular
Because
city
we have,
council?
We have a deadline.
we have to fill the position within a deadline by state law. So we have,
From when he
yes,
resigned? Is that what it is?
correct.
Okay, because I thought,
It is a 30-day window just for educational purposes.
okay,
It's a
30 days from
window.
when they retire or resign.
His resignation came effective on the 18th, so we did do it Saturday because the 17th falls on a Saturday. We are capable, the law allows us to extend over that 30 days
Okay, so that's
to the
what that
next
is.
legal Monday.
Okay, and you've also got some other applicants that are
We
applying,
believe
is that weird?
we're gonna have some additional applications. There were some people who came in who wanted to apply and was a little bit confused on the date and I think there was a typo on the application itself.
Okay,
So, we just felt like that, we felt like it's a little bit unfair, and we felt like that a lack of clear communications was enough reason to reopen it, because we think everybody should have a chance to do it.
okay, so, I'm thinking I'm coming here to find out what's going on in the town, but really I should be talking to some of you to find out what's going on in the
Really, you
town.
should be going to the town
Website.
Go to the
All
town
the
website, like she
information
said.
All the information.
And if you have challenges with that, you just can't understand it, feel free to give one of us a call.
All right,
Or
Okay.
come to the meetings.
And that's,
Way,
yeah.
I'm trying.
That's your question.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much, welcome.
Appreciate
Sorry,
this.
anybody else? Thanks, man on the back one, yes, sir, come forward.
Hard of hearing,
Okay,
not a public speaker. My name is Mark Parker.
Mr. Parker, welcome.
I live at 2826 Purple Sage, the Brown's house. So, earlier this gentleman up here said that people could, in the middle of this conversation, you've already apologized a couple of times, but I should have stopped it and given them opportunity to talk.
That's not what I said, but I understand your point.
Like I said, I don't hear very well, but overall, I'm aware of Robert's Rules of Order, and I'm not sure, probably that's what this is supposed to, most of these are like that, Robert's Rules of Order. So what I would like to say is, even though we have the order that's going on right here, it still needs to be, everybody needs to have a chance to talk. And I know that people have been up here and pounding their hammer over and over, and you get tired of hearing them. I've been here this month for 3 years now. And I just would like to say, we have an opportunity to talk. If we hire, or voluntary or not, if we elect a mayor or anybody else, you're elected to do what the majority of the people decide they want for their area. So whether you like it or not, if you're in office, your job is, whether you like it or not, you are supposed to put into place what the majority of the people that live in this area want. And
May I explain something to you a little bit? I mean, I understand.
Make it real clear, because I heard
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I think kind of what you might be kind of discussing is a pure democracy where everybody makes decisions.
I'll take this hat off. I'm not.
A pure democracy is where everybody gets to make a decision and they don't work. In a republic, you vote for people, you get the majority of the voters that vote for you, you get put in office, and you try to vote for the person who you feel will represent your wishes to the best of their ability. That's what elections are all about. A lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of times people disappoint other people. We're not perfect. But I guess what I'm saying is that if we had every meeting, especially the longer ones, if everybody wanted to discuss and make a decision, that meeting would go on for hours. So basically what we've done in the past is we've had a public comment meeting at the end so that people, okay, maybe they disagreed with something. It's not going to be a conversation, it's a public comment. So you can comment and tell us how you feel, and we will take note of that. But it's not to rehash every item that we've gone over, because that would be very cumbersome and almost impossible.
I understand that.
Yeah, but no, your point is well taken as far as.
Oh, I'm
letting the
glad
people
you
talk.
took it. I'm glad you did, because you're 58, right?
Not yet, dadgummit.
Almost. I'm right. I'm 3 months behind you. So what was I talking about? Yeah. So we lose track. So we need to have an opportunity to just like, you know what? Maybe the meeting's 3 hours long. I don't care. Let's.
But you've got the pulpit, like I said, you can make
I
comments.
know, I do, and it's
You've
like,
got-
just let us talk and
Sure.
tell you what we're talking about. This is what we want in our backyard. We don't want to have the feeling that we have in Gooseberry. Multiple people show up there and they've been told, my hearing aids kill me, that we don't have CCNRs in Apple Valley or in Gooseberry. But we do. So we have people telling them, you don't have CCNRs in Gooseberry, so they do whatever they want. And because no one's told them better, then they bought the house, no one gives them the CCR rules, like you buy your house, you can only have 2 horses or whatever they are. And they buy their house and they're disillusioned. They bought the wrong house in the wrong spot. They shouldn't have bought a house in Gooseberry if they're CCNRs. But we can't, from what I understand, we can't enforce our CCNRs. So when we start talking about building houses all the way down here, who's going to enforce the rules for these guys building this in our valley when we can't enforce the rules in our 50 little houses in Gooseberry? It's just a question on my part. I want everybody to hear what I'm saying. It's just a question. How do we do that?
Well, first of all, there's a lot more than 50. I believe there's 120 something lots in Gooseberry.
Okay, so that's a
Let's
number.
clarify that. I live in Gooseberry. I've been there for 20 years. And I've been through all of it. With the naysayers and with the people that want them and the people that don't want them. From what we understand, and I'm just giving you my take on it, they were implemented 40 years ago. Nothing was ever filed. Therefore, they were considered.
So you're telling us that
No.
there's no CCNRs?
No, we are not
I did
telling you
I
that.
did not say that.
Kevin Sayer just expressed his personal opinion.
The town
The town
cannot
does not.
enforce CCNRs.
Right. The town has nothing to do with it.
You have
It's
to have your own committee to take care of your own CCNRs. The town of
You're-
Apple
you're
Valley
right.
is not responsible for personal CCNRs of a subdivision.
Anywhere.
The town is
I
only
can't-
responsible for the ordinances of the town.
Okay. And if you can't hear what Michael's saying, if people in the back talking, the town does not enforce CCNRs. CCNRs are an agreement between the homeowner and the developer. It has nothing to do with the town ordinances. We're responsible for the ordinances of the town. And that's all we're responsible for. So if the CCNRs have something that's indifferent from the town, that's between them and the residents, and the town does not get involved.
Okay. I appreciate your time.
It's never been solved.
And
Oh, okay. I
It's
guess
never been solved.
the only thing I get is on the internet, and I've read a lot of stuff. This is not a piss and match that we've done today. It's been going on for 20 years,
Yes.
right? You guys all know that.
Yes.
I've only been here 3 years and I've already read all this stuff. So, but what we should do though,
John, good evening.
is Washington City, county is like, at least do what they require, right? We're inside their jurisdiction.
I would personally like to think that we're all good neighbors in Gooseberry. That's what I would
I'm
personally
not,
like to
I'm
say.
just saying, I just would like to have some form. I don't like my neighbors coming to my house and saying, this is a Wild West thing and we don't have any control over
Then
anything.
take that up
and-
with your neighbors.
Well, I don't want to, I'm just saying that we all ought to get along and have an opportunity to talk.
Yes, we
But
should.
you don't see anybody on this board not walking in conversation. If you have a challenge with your neighbor coming to your house and bringing that type of conversation where you think it's positive or negative, then discuss that with your neighbor. If you don't want it,
Well-
tell them not to. If you want them to, then encourage them to.
That's why the only little bit of time I have, I come down here to listen to what I heard tonight, and I just felt like I didn't have any influence. Very hard for me to hear, but I felt like we didn't have, I didn't understand what was going on, and every motion was passed before anybody had anything to say. That's just how I felt. So
Fair enough, and I've corrected that problem, so.
thank you guys for your time.
And again, contact us directly anytime. I'm your neighbor. I'm not in
And
my house.
we do all the time. My wife calls in here all the time.
Come knock on my door.
Where do you live in Gooseberry? The Brown's old house.
No, Brown's old
Oh.
house. I'm the guy they hated because I told everybody not to steal my artifacts off my property.
Right.
You have artifacts?
I'm that
I'll be
guy.
over there tomorrow.
I'm that guy.
Then you gotta deal with his wife.
So this is
I'll
what I'm
wait here,
saying,
John.
is as long as we can just talk and communicate, that's all I hope for.
You know where I live?
You live across the street from my brother.
Your brother?
Yes,
Who's your brother?
Tracy Parker. He lives in Stephen
Linden.
Lord.
No, Stephen, Lynn's old house.
Yeah,
I don't know Stephen. I'm the last house on the left.
yeah. He lives across the street, one house over.
Oh, one house
way in the
over. Okay,
So
yeah.
there's two of us. My name's-
Well, you're welcome to come by my house anytime, knock on my door.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome to
Okay.
come by my house anytime and knock on my door.
I would much rather you come by my house and knock on my door than what I've seen on the internet. If you got a question
I'm
about
just
me,
saying, I just want to talk. I just want to be able to have a chance
and
to
I'm just
talk.
telling you that my door is open. You can come and ask me anything you want in my house.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And the same goes for me.
Anybody
You
else?
live again?
And I live at 893 Foothill. That big tan house, you cannot miss it. It has a roof line that goes over the top of the mountain.
Okay,
And Mr. Parker,
yes.
I'm 69 years old, and you'll never find my house because it's very hard to find.
I'll show you where it is.
I'm not gonna come looking for you.
No,
These
listen,
guys actually
I'll
up
show
for
you.
that.
It's the house with a red roof. It's yellow with a red roof.
Oh, I
You
found
can't
the
miss it.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me talk.
Anytime. Anybody else?
Would you like to
Is it
come up?
Mrs. Deneen? Is that how you pronounce it?
Sure.
Would you like to come up and start? I apologize. I keep trying to remember how to pronounce that name, and I always have
Deneen,
trouble.
right?
Denise. So it's just for clarity, when we were talking about moving the public comments around on this agenda,
Mhm.
because this is from tonight, and it has public comments at the end where it belongs.
Uh-huh.
And is there a protocol or a rule or something like that to move that around? Or are you basically are saying that you can do that if you choose?
And then just clarified that with Sean earlier, as the chairman of, I can call public comment as many times or wherever I want.
But
And
can you delete it or
Can?
and then move it to the end?
I don't think you can delete public comment.
And it would be unwise to.
I don't think you can. I don't think you
So
should.
basically, that's sort of what. happened
Generally-
tonight, and that's why people are upset.
It's not. The public comments were open. Anybody's welcome. What happened was I moved it into to the front of the deal, front of the meeting. And the reason I did that was because there was an enormous amount of people here that I thought wanted to talk about the issues tonight. And because when I walked in the door, there was no less than 15 of them sitting at the door talking about they didn't feel like it was right to table this item tonight. They knew full where we were going to do it. So I wanted to move it to the front and not burden the balance of make everybody stay here for the duration of it to be able to speak their mind. So my attempt was to accommodate them. And I made a mistake doing that, and I shouldn't have.
So from now on, wherever public comments appears, will stay there.
Unless something comes up that calls us to move it, yes.
And that would happen with you announcing it during the
I
meeting?
don't know. All I'm saying is that
Is Sean still on?
there's no reason to move it around unless a special circumstance occurs. I moved it because of a special circumstance tonight. It was my intention, whether you like it, disagree with it, disapprove of it, or disrespect it. I came through that door tonight and saw a crowd of people outside the door complaining about the fact that we were going to table this item. And I wanted to open up the opportunity for them to talk about it, and nobody wanted to talk about it. So I closed the public comment. That was my reason for doing it. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand that. But that was my reason for doing it. If it offends you, I apologize. I corrected it, and it won't happen again. Okay?
Joan, I'm still here.
We're talking about the republic instead of a democracy. It's prudent to point out that out of the three here, only you were elected.
Four.
Okay. Yes, well, he's not here, but
He is here.
sort of, yeah. So both of you were appointed basically by Marty.
No, ma'am, that's not true. We're appointed by the town council.
Correct.
Paul was voted
So-
in and I was voted in almost 4 years ago.
No, I understand
She was
that,
talking
and I
about
acknowledge that,
Kevin and I.
that were appointed, not voted by the people. So I wanted to point that out in answer to your comment to the other gentleman.
Well, before you step down, let me give you just a little bit of history about myself. I've lived in this community a long time. I'm proactive in many ways. I've served for 6 years on the board as the mayor pro tem, volunteer fire department, over the planning commission, over weed abatement, I've done over the parks. I've done with the water board. I've done just about everything in this community. And that's why I came back and put my hat in, was to help this community out. So I'm well versed in all the problems in this town and this community, and I will tell you this board as a whole, even at this point, we all have the same agenda to make sure that we service this community to the best of our abilities. Make sure, A1, that we have water. Okay, now, I will tell you, I'm a constitutional freak. I believe in all of it. I will fight for it. I will give my life to defend it. I will give my life to defend this community should ever, or anything ever come upon it. That's the kind of character that I am. So I'm well versed with all these issues and problems from the past, and that's why I came back and put my hat in here. So I'm not a greenhorn, even though I was appointed. It's only temporary to the end of the year. And when I ran, I was elected by the people. So I was not just thrown in there. Now, am I gonna run at the end of the year? I don't know. We'll see how things go. That didn't help. But I hope to bring.
But I think that was due to feeling disrespected by posting public comments. Is why that happened.
Sure.
And people raised their voices and sort of expected something like that to happen, and then it was.
And I'm sorry that we
then it
had to
did.
table it, but I agreed with tabling it.
Oh, I'm not talking about tabling.
Oh, right. Well, anyway, I wanted to make sure that everybody got a shake that wanted to run for that position.
We're gonna close this up, and I'm gonna say this to you too, that again, I apologize many times I'm going to, and I sincerely mean it, but you said they expected it. They fully expected it to be tabled. Absolutely did.
No, they didn't expect it to be tabled.
They did, because they were sitting outside the door when
I
I
was
walked in.
outside and no one ever said that.
They
They
did, and I'll
expected
tell you
for public comments not to be heard.
Anything else?
That's it.
I'm not here to argue. Anybody else?
I have a comment.
Anybody else? Yes, could you state your name, please?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now, there you
And
go.
now,
I saw you
Okay.
waving, but we couldn't hear you.
My name is Shamim Anshizada. I'm at 1722 North Juniper Circle. My comment is more of a question. Now that the application period has been extended and the special meeting has been rescheduled for the future, will the current applicants that have already submitted an application that have not met the wording that has been changed from request to must, will those applicants be required to submit those additional documents that were on the application?
Yes, ma'am.
And will those additional documents be made available on the website?
Yes.
They will be made
Okay.
available when the comes out.
Say that
when the
again,
agenda-
please.
When the agenda comes out for that meeting, it will be included in the agenda.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just that I am the person that created the table regarding Mr. Beto's court involvement, civil and criminal. It is a matter of public record. The information that I included in there was taken directly from information on Utah's exchange database. It is a subscription-based database. The information that I took on each case was from a thorough reading of the pleadings, and that all of my information can be verified. Additionally, information was taken from a GRAMA request to the Washington County Sheriff's Office. A GRAMA request, if you're not familiar with that, is a method by which somebody can get public records, or records can be made public. Also, the information regarding the federal bankruptcy was gleaned from a public database that is also subscription-based. Nothing was stolen or taken without permission from anybody or any entity. So if anybody has any questions, they can email me. I won't take up the time of the town council in order to ask those questions, but I'm available for questions about how I compiled that information and the sources that I used.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else online who would like to speak? I guess not. Nobody else in the audience? We'll close public comment. Any other issues with the council? Michael, any other issues? Okay.
No issues.
Okay. Then we'll make a request for a closed session.
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. No need for a closed session, so we'll make entertain a motion for adjournment. Second? Vote again with Paul?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Michael? Vote today.
Aye.
Session is closed. Thank you, Mike.